Hey guys, today's gonna be part 2 on the Chevy long bed pickup truck bodywork and paint. Probably gonna start out with cutting out a couple of these spots here that need to be cut out and welded in because there are pretty good amount of rust right here. It's not a big area, so we'll cut that out, make a patch for there, weld it in. We got a little patch right here we need to make. So I want to get a couple of those done, and then we'll start doing the body work on the hood and the fenders and the doors. When I do those patches, I'm going to use 16 gauge steel to patch them in with, and I will use weld through primer on the back sides of it. I did tell the guy that if he wants to try to prolong it as long as possible, that he needs to get like a body wax or a fluid film or something to put on the back sides once I'm done with the truck. I don't do that stuff here because I don't want that kind of contaminants in the shop because it could cause fish eyes on paint jobs. But I always let everybody know that I put weld through primer on the backs of the metal, which does protect the metal itself. But when you weld, you have, because I butt weld, you have a weld that is bare metal. So you got to treat that with something. If you don't, it's just going to start rusting again. So I'm going to get set up here. I just got back from picking up a ton of parts and stuff. I'll show you in the van. I'm just leaving it in the van for now because there's so many parts right now that I need to fix up, restore, paint, that I'm going to be working on those projects while I'm working on this, while I'm working on the dually next in the spray booth. The dually, I might finish painting it tomorrow. I'm gonna see how that paint cured on the roof and back wall. It's been several days. I actually might heat it up today and let it cool overnight, and then tomorrow spray the rest of that truck so I'm done with it, and then continue on with this as well. So I will be back in a little bit. I'm gonna run outside and show you what's in the back of the van. All right, the guy just stopped by to drop off some more parts, and he dropped off a gallon of Speedy Coat 2K primer, which I've never used before. I don't know anything about it. Hold on. So I don't know if anybody's used this or not. Let me know. I'm curious to see if it works or not. What I'll probably do, honestly, is maybe I'll use this first and go over it with a gray. Then I can kind of use, because this is black, or maybe I'll do vice versa. I'll use gray first and then black, so that when I go to paint, I already have black down, which will help a little bit. Yeah, I've never used this before. I've used other products by Speedy Coat. I actually use their epoxy primer sealer that they sell, and I've been really happy with it. I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. I have tried some of their clears in the past and had good luck with that as well. So I'm going to say it's probably, Speedy Coat's probably the lower end of PPG would be my guess if I were to take a guess at it. I don't know what he has here for a hardener. He has a activator, doesn't say if it's a slow, medium, or high, or fast, which is odd. Maybe they only make one. I don't know. Unless I look up this number, maybe it would tell me. But yeah, we're going to use it. He already bought it for the truck, so why not? So all right, let's go outside. I'll show you what's going on in the van, and then I'm going to eat lunch and start knocking this out. So this is all of what I picked up today. So basically, these are 59 Impala 4-door quarter panels that somebody started to make benches out of. It actually, the original back seat fits in there. So there's 2 back seats, one for each side, and these are going to become booths to sit at. And I'm going to basically just do all the body work and paint these things to look new. He's going to get the chrome redone for the bumper halves and all that stuff, and that'll be good to go. Here's a couple faces for a gas pump. Those need to get painted white. There is this, I don't know what color we're painting this yet. There's also a set of cruiser skirts for a 59 Impala that I'm going to be doing the body work and getting them painted on. So quite a bit more projects going on here. Like I said, there's projects going on nonstop around here. So like I said, it's going to be jam-packed videos. So hopefully you guys are interested in watching this kind of stuff, because as long as you guys keep watching, I'll keep making videos. So I'll be back shortly and we'll start cutting out that rust. All right, I'm going to cut this piece out first here, and then we'll cut that little piece out in the back there. And then we'll trace it onto a new piece of metal and get a new piece welded in there. So I'm just gonna use my little 3-inch cutoff wheel on my air tool. I'm not gonna use a regular cordless grinder or anything because this really is not a really big area. So it's just trying to feel about how far it goes. Might have a bunch of Bondo in it actually. Let me grind the Bondo down. Look at that mess. Didn't look that bad, but it's screwed up. I need a new tool. Well, I think it just broke. Let me try putting a little bit of oil in it, see if it fixes it at all. All right, well that's the inner piece. Yeah, somebody really wadded that in there with a bunch of shit. So now I don't really have a template because, as you can see, this is all missing. I guess I have a little bit of a top of a template. So see if we can't transfer that onto a piece of metal. Okay, we're pretty close there. So now I gotta bend it that way now, but I got this contour pretty damn good. Get my marker. Maybe bend that a hair more. Maybe. Just gotta keep working at it until you get it to fit the way you want it to. All right, we're almost there. I'm gonna tweak it a little bit more, just like I'm doing. I don't wanna keep recording for too long because it's gonna take me a few more minutes. I'm gonna bring that in a little bit there and bring this in a little bit down there. Okay, so I cleaned up around the perimeter and I primered in there with the weld through primer on this and also on the patch panel I made. So now we can start welding this back in. All right, it's tacked in. I'm gonna go ahead and keep putting tack welds around until I get it completely welded, and then I'll grind it down and show you what it's gonna look like. Okay, that patch is done. Ready for some Duraglass. Or short strand fiberglass. I always put that on there because any pinholes in your welding, that stuff kind of seals it off. And on the front here, I'll be able to get some on the back side as well, which will also help seal it off. I filled in that little spot right there, which was this little piece right here. So I cut that piece out and welded in a new one there. Then I welded in a new one right here, and that was this piece right here. and then I welded in the 2 holes for the emblems. So this fender is done being welded. I got a couple little spots to do on the other fender, and then I'm just going to do that off camera. Then we're going to put Duraglass or short strand fiberglass on these areas on both sides, and then while that's setting up, I can be working on the hood and stuff like that. Okay, there was just a spot in the front here, and then I welded in the emblem holes. So basically all the welding on the front clips done and the doors. Still got to do the rocker panels. Rocker panels are a bit screwed up, and they're going to need some work. Okay, so now I'm just going to mix up some of this Bondo glass, short strand fiberglass, and we're going to put it all over the holes that I welded in. And then I'm going to let it sit for a little bit, and then start some body work on the hood and stuff while this dries for a little while. This stuff takes a little bit longer to dry than regular filler. So let me get this stuff mixed up and then we'll put it on. And this can be applied direct to metal. All right, I'm gonna finish this up on the other side, and then I'll be back and we'll start doing filling in spots on the hood. All right, it's always good to take window cleaner or wax and grease remover and wipe your panel down before you start applying body filler, because if you don't wipe it down, you're basically sticking to this dust. I glued this thing off multiple times, but there's still dust stuck to it. So by wiping it, it gets rid of that dust for you. And I'm just using a microfiber towel to get it off. Now after you wipe it off, I like to let it set for about 10-15 minutes just to make sure that it's all evaporated off and everything. But look at how much crap came off of that hood. And if you went and applied body filler after you blew it off with the blowgun, your body filler is sticking to dust, so it's not doing you any good. So I'm going to wipe down the fenders and the doors, and then I'll be back and we'll put some filler on. All right, so now I want to look around on the hood and the fenders, mainly the hood for now, because I still have to sand that fiberglass on the fenders. And I want to circle areas that I know need filler. Now, don't use a Sharpie. Whatever you guys do, don't use a Sharpie. Sharpie is oil-based, okay? This could cause problems. Use a pencil or a paint marker, an actual automotive paint marker, not a paint marker you get at Joann Fabrics, because that also could possibly be oil. So I'm just going to take this pencil and I'm going to circle what I know feels funny. And now that I've cleaned this off, I can rub on this and it's nice and clean and nothing's coming off on my hand. I know right here, this is all screwed up looking right in this area. And you can see the pencil mark on the black paint. It's not like it's that hard to see. This side's also screwed up. Right here, is when I sanded this is all high. This right here is low. So we're gonna fill that. Now, do I expect to get all the imperfections out the first time I do the body work and I primer it? No, but I want to get the main ones taken care of, and then I will 2K primer it, and then we'll block it down with the block sander and guide coat, and that's going to show us any other imperfections that are left. And then we will fix those imperfections, and then we will 2K primer it again with probably another additional 3 coats of primer. I need to sand that. This is a really big dent here. This is still shiny paint. That has to be scuffed up before I can put filler on it. If I don't do that, it will not stick well. Now I have pinholes and stuff right here. Those you can't really do much with as far as scuffing inside there. You can get them a little bit. But that's all I'm doing is just feeling around. And I know that using your hand is not necessarily good. You're not going to feel them all, okay? But once you put that 2K primer on there and you block this thing down, all of a sudden you're going to find spots that you initially did not feel. Now the fenders, they don't feel too bad. Now, very minor stuff. Depending on how many coats of 2K primer you put on there, you could possibly sand out minor little flaws and imperfections with the 2K primer. I also have I have 2 gallons of polyester primer, and I've never tried it yet. I've heard good things about it and bad things about it. So I just haven't really had a project to try it on yet. And like I said, you know, you miss a few things, don't worry about it. You're gonna go over it, and you're gonna fix them, and you're gonna primer it one more time. And that's gonna take care of what you missed. I mean, you could spend a week sitting here rubbing down these panels and keep going over it with mud, or you can coat the whole thing with mud, which I don't really agree with. Have I done it in the past? Yes. Do I agree that you need to do it? No, I don't think so. I think it's kind of a waste, especially nowadays with the polyester primers and the 2K primers and stuff like that. I think you're wasting your time by fully covering your panels with body filler. All right, so I marked quite a few spots. I'm going to take a piece of 80 grit and let me see here. You know what? I'll just use my little flat wheel here, and I'm going to hit a couple spots that are still shiny. So all I'm doing is just scuffing it up so that my body filler has something to stick to. It's not going to stick to shiny paint. Okay. Blow it off real quick. All right, now we're gonna mix up, as the camera got slid around, sorry about that. I'm gonna mix up some regular lightweight filler, the stuff I showed you yesterday. And this can be applied directly to bare metal. Luckily, basically all the areas that I'm hitting are not down to bare metal. So that just is nice when it's like that. You have less to worry about. Could I epoxy primer it and then do the body work? Yes, definitely. But in this case, because like I said, almost everything is not bare metal, we're gonna go right with the body filler. And then we will put down a coat of epoxy primer before we put down the 2K primer. And what that's gonna do is seal off the Bondo, all the body filler areas, and the bare metal that's showing, because the 2K primer I'm gonna use first is gray, okay? And it's by Summit Racing. And then we're gonna try that Speedy Coat black over top, because this is a satin finish paint job. I wasn't sure if we were going matte finish or satin finish. We're gonna go satin finish. And what we'll do is the gray primer I use first is not direct to metal primer, so you cannot put that 2K primer over areas that are bare metal. So we will hit everything first with a coat of epoxy primer, the whole truck, and then we'll go and put the 2K over top of it. Then we know we've sealed it off correctly. We have proper adhesion because we're using the right product for the right thing. A little bit more hardener. All these blue hardeners are the same, if anybody wonders that. All right. So when you do your body filler, don't stir it unless you have no other choice. You want to fold it over like this. What this does is creates less chances of getting pinholes in your body filler. If you stir it around with like a paint stick, you're gonna end up with a ton of pinholes in your body filler, which just creates more work for yourself, because then you're gonna have to do a bunch more body work. You're gonna have to put a coat of glazing filler on it. I could have used probably glazing filler for most of this stuff that I'm doing right now, but because that front of the hood is pretty bad, I just figured I'll use this. This is a lightweight filler. It's in between regular body filler and the glazing filler. I would say it's somewhere in between. It's pretty lightweight and pretty, how would I say it? It's creamy. It's pretty creamy, so it spreads pretty good. So we're just gonna go ahead and apply our filler. Now this area, like I said, is pretty screwed up. And I like these metal Bondo spreaders. I think they're better than the plastic ones. They don't nick up, unless, I guess they probably could if you dropped it. But all I'm doing is trying to even this out. The better you spread this stuff, obviously, less sanding you'll have to do. Another thing that also helps, spread it on one direction and pull it tight the other direction. That also tends to help with getting pinholes. And I'm not expecting, like I said, I know I'm still going to have some imperfections when I'm done with this. But I'm not going to kill myself and spend days chasing every little tiny dent and ding right now, because I will find it when I primer it. And while this stuff is drying, I'll sand down the short strand fiberglass areas. All right, clean this off. We'll start knocking down that fiberglass areas, and then we'll mix up a little bit more of this stuff and put a coat over those as well. I'm just gonna knock those spots down with the DA sander. Not gonna go crazy with it. Now I'm going to hit all the bodywork areas with this inline sander. It goes back and forth and rotates a little bit. I'm going to hit all the spots with that. And then once all these spots I feel are good, I'm going to use this with 180 grit and go over the whole entire truck before it gets primered. And then once we primer it, then I'll be using the hand blocks and hand block sanding the truck down. All I'm doing right now is fine tuning it, trying to get it close, and the hand blocking with the 2K primer is going to finish it off. All right, so I didn't video it all because I'm doing the same thing over and over. I'm just sanding. So basically, the doors forward, other than the cowl and the roof and the rockers, these are good. They're looking good now. There was a pretty good area down here that was kind of screwed up. As you can see through the filler because it's not that thick. It was just a little bit ripply, so I went ahead and coated it up. Gotta clean out the lock hole. And I started on the driver's side, bed side, and this side probably looks just as bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, pretty much all the way down the side of the bed from about here up has dents every couple inches, every maybe 6, 8 inches. So I just put a coat of body filler on it all the way down this top part here. And I'm gonna have to long block this tomorrow by hand. I'll have to hand block this down because it is a long panel. Once again, I'm just trying to get this tuned up and get it really close so that once I'm done with the 2K primer and I block it down, I'm gonna actually be able to see what is high and what is low. And you can see here what was high and what's low, you know, as far as what I've sanded off. I've sanded through quite a bit of the material on this truck, and I used it to help flatten out, you know, spots. Like this is no longer a low spot. It feels good, but you could see what I'm talking about with the different colors of how ripply the truck really was. And once we get it to 2K primer, let it sit for a week or so, and block it down with guide coat, we're going to really get an idea of what this thing's going to look like. And then we'll fix whatever we need to fix. And then we'll put 2 to 3 more coats of 2K primer on it, block it one more time, and then at that point it'll be ready for paint. So all right, I'm going to end this video. This is part 2. Tomorrow I'm going to be working on the bed sides. Then I got to do the roof, tailgate, and then the rockers. I'm probably going to paint the rest of the dually tomorrow at some point, probably in the afternoon. So I'll probably just kind of work on this off camera and give you just like a little quick update on it once I get like the bed sides and stuff like that done. And then I'll probably do a video painting the dually. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. If you wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. Other than that, guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.